Now, that is a ton about me, so I'm going to say, first of all, thank you for listening. I appreciate that. Questions?
My first question for you is, when you were talking about leveraging, working with the HTMI, and you were able to get the job that the guy gave you, and then you learned up on it, quit that job, and then came back and were able to leverage that to make them pay you 4 times the worth. With it being such a new business opportunity for even them to realize its worth, what were some of the things that you were able to share or sell to them to even see that that was a worthy investment? Because now they're saying, I have a position for something we don't really even understand. Now that position is vacant, a person is now saying they'll sell us services for this higher cost. We don't even really understand this as a, it's not like the internet was large at that time. How were you able, as a young entrepreneur who just got into learning about the internet yourself, how were you able to leverage that into actually being able to bring money to the table?
Sure. Well, let's break it down to its core component. The core component is economics. It's basic economics, supply and demand. I created scarcity by leaving. So I created scarcity. They have demand. They need to fill it somehow. The question is, how much can I charge? I don't know. I charged it. I was like, that sounds good, 30 bucks. Sounds right, I don't know. I don't know what they make. It's whatever you can get away with. The market is never wrong. They will tell you if that's too much. I don't know why they said it was okay. They did. I know this much. If I didn't ask, I wouldn't have gotten it. That's as simple as it gets. I know I'm a salesman. You know that. So I'm pretty sure I put a little mustard on it, but like, at the end of it, it's supply and demand. So create that. The question is, are you in demand? If you can't do anything, you're not in demand. Yes, sir.
Let's go ladies first.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Leslie Pace, Miss Black Colorado Scholarship Foundation. So in terms of you being able to identify those opportunities before everyone else does, what are those indicators or things that you look for to be aware that this is going to be something before everyone else does?
Yeah. What it sounds like, because that's the word we're listening, the indicators, we're listening for things, right? Or sometimes seeing, but for the most part, for me, it's what it sounds like. What it sounds like is someone's got an idea about something, and they usually can speak pretty passionately about it. When that happens, if it seems like it's grounded in something, I immediately go, what do you know how to do that can contribute to this? And by do, let me give you a quick little acronym because this will really tactically lay it down. It's an acronym I use called SPACE, S-P-A-C-E. Actually, Journeyman episode 3 is all about space. All of this, like I said earlier, is predicated on the fact that you've got to be willing to work. Don't ask and not deliver. You just won't ask if you won't deliver, right? So what am I listening for? I'm listening for my network to tell me something that they're pretty passionate about, that I believe is grounded in some truth. And then I look at my SPACE and say, very quickly, what can I deliver? An example, and then I'll get to you. An example of this actually happening yesterday. Yesterday, a buddy of mine emails me and another friend and says, my 24-year-old sister is in PR and marketing. She wants to move to Denver. Do you know any career coaches that might be able to help her? I pick up the phone. I said, don't ever insult me like that again. A career coach? You know me. I will help her. In 15 minutes, I'll know what she does, how good she is, what she wants to do, and I'll know who to introduce her to. You know me. So I don't know all the things that I just delivered on there on the SPAC, but like a lot, right? That's an easy listen for it, provide something. Now I built skills. I took my skills, I took my network, put them together. That created opportunity. What did he respond with? Oh, the law of reciprocity is amazing. You guys know the law of reciprocity, right? You give 1 unit, 4 units come back. What did he say? Bro, how can I help you on Mike Johnson's campaign? I said, well, what do you want to do, bro? He's like, you name it. He's a high-powered lawyer. I said, well, I'm not sure if we need legal advice, but I do want to lock up influencers in the community, and you know a bunch. Will you co-host an event with me? It's like, in. And what did I do? I called and said, I got you. That's what I'm listening for. That's an example, but I think if you get the umbrella of space and you get the one example, you can start to filter for yourself. what do you have to listen for? Because your people might ask for different ways or different things, right? But that's what you're doing. You're training yourself to listen, to say, what of my SPACE can I deliver? And it becomes really fast, actually. Once you start to get it, you start to get really quick at it. Yes, sir?
The question is, you mentioned Big Four, and you kind of mentioned a little bit of the negative side of it, but I think there's some positives there. I want you to talk about that.
Big Four? Like Big Four Consulting?
Yeah. Essentially. And then the other one is, I did look up Big Four. I'll share that with you afterwards. Yep.
Oh, what it means? You just gave me a gift. Thank you. Miguel? I will not forget you now. He looked up what the meaning of DWIC was. I just expressed a problem, and he just solved it. That's dope. That's dope, man. What are the pros of the Big Four? For me, nothing. So here's why. I'm hyper self-aware. I know I was an entrepreneur from way early. I did a stint in corporate. That was because when I finished selling my last business, I then graduated college, and I thought I needed a job, right? And I was like, I gotta do something. So I talked to a venture capitalist who I had done some work with through my my acquisition, and he said, you're like a Renaissance man. You like to do a lot of things. You should go into consulting because you get exposure to a lot of stuff. And I said, who's the best? He said, it was Anderson Consulting back then. He said, Anderson Consulting is best in the world. I was like, okay. And so I applied, and of course, nobody, and like, I'm a senior in college. I'm not their prototype. Maybe today, probably a lot more their prototype. Like, they would probably love to have a guy like me, but then it was like, well, you've started these business, like, what are these things? Like, it wasn't that cool, right? So no one responded, and so I just went to the parking lot and waited for people to go into Anderson, and was like, who's the recruiter here? And they're like, Chris. And I was like, where's Chris Park? And they were like, up around, and so I just kept coming back till I ran into Chris. And I was like, you should hire me.
How did you handle that as far as your family? Your father, he worked 9 to 5. So how did you present it to them? And maybe, I don't know if it was a negative impact, whether they supported it or not, but I think you just offered it.
Sure, let me ask you a question back, just because I want to make this really good for you. What are you struggling with?
Gosh. I think I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a businesswoman, so I dabble in both. And
What's the
being
difference?
away from home, 14 years living on your own, I made my own decisions. I supported myself, whereas now I'm home and they don't really. You got you. They don't really see my vision. They just want me to stick to the books and go that direction.
Okay. I'm going to back up here so that I can talk to her, and you guys can obviously hear. I have pretty strong thoughts on this. First, I'm not going to claim that I know how to deal with your family situation. So I'm going to put that one quickly just aside, because they will have expectations of you, and you will have different expectations of what they should be like with you, right? What I do know is this. When you break it down to its core, what they probably are thinking is go get a job. Correct? They're thinking go get a job. The natural resistance in me is I'm not going to get a job, I'm an entrepreneur. That is so ego-driven by me because I identify with that label. And when I don't have that, I think, well, then who am I? That's how I used to think. That's when I was like younger. What I started to then realize pretty quickly was I can't breathe a different way. This is like, I'm suffocating by working for somebody else. That is the core of entrepreneurship, is that you are willing to do something that's not that awesome because you can't breathe a different way. With that said, the skills required to be successful in entrepreneurship don't come naturally. So either I had to start a business, low risk, and make income quickly, or what I did every single time except for just now with Flow, because I had an acquisition, Every single time, side hustle. Every single time I built Lotus Group, my wealth management firm, while I had the consulting firm. I was in class while I'm building the website design, or I'm DJing. Like, it's always been side hustle. My suggestion to anybody would be get a job based on the skills that you need to extract from it for the least amount of time at work, and build what you really want after. And if you can get a job that keeps the lights on and you only really work 20 hours, but they pay you for 40, take the spread and build your business. Thank you for sharing that.
My question for you is, do you recommend that we wait for windows of opportunity, or do we create them? And how do we go about creating them without crossing the line?
Skills plus network equals opportunity. It will happen, but if you don't have skills that you can articulate, it's not a resume. It's not a resume. What can you do that person wants? So if somebody says they've got a job, you hand them a resume, you didn't answer the question. You made them do the work. That's the most frustrating thing to do as an employer. Don't make me do the work, you tell me what you got for me. The person that's most convincing in telling me what they can do to solve my current problems is the one that gets the job. That skill development is very important to be able to label and say, I can do blank. And don't use the fancy words, I mean super raw, this is what I can do. Because when we start getting too fancy, what we hear is, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. That's what I hear. And I'm not saying it from you, but I'm saying like when people tell me like, I inspire, and I'm like, what happened? What was the result? I walk out of here today, maybe I made a change, maybe I made somebody feel like they can go do something. What I'm really looking for is, how many of you can I connect with after this? Because if the answer is 1, I didn't do it well enough. If the answer is 10, I'm okay. If we're at 20 out of a room of 35, I'm feeling pretty good. You see what I'm saying? It's got to be really tangible. That's a skill. And I'd say then to back that up, if you can't identify it, that means you need to build more. So build the skill, don't worry about the opportunity yet. The skills plus the network create the opportunity.
I'm really liking a lot of the things you're saying, especially I hear a word or a theme kind of baked into what you're saying pretty continually along your whole talk. It's been process. So tell me a little bit about process and how it's important for you in your business and your personal life.
Yeah, that's a good pickup, Miguel. The order in which I look at things when we design any process, first of all, is I'm not looking to scale anything immediately. This is a simple mistake most people make when they look at process. They say, how do we take this to scale? My current business, the Flow Live Chat, this is what it sounds like when I pitch a client when they say, how long is implementation? I say, here's how this works. It's 21 days end to end. You send me everything, all documents, all website, all PDFs, all your marketing material, all your sales training, all your new hire orientation. I will figure it all out from there. Totally not scalable. It sells. What I need to do is build a business that generates revenue. I'm not worried about scale yet. What I'm learning in the process is, what would I do better? And then I start to make the little tweaks, but I make the commitment that I got you. I don't tell them about the efficiencies and all that stuff, and I don't oversell it. So I start with not scale, because not scale means a couple things. It means that you learn how to do the job that you're later going to hire somebody for. If you don't know how to do the work, you can't tell somebody else what to do, and you sure can't expect them to do it better. Then you start to work on efficiencies. And the efficiencies that I look for are in this order. Elimination, number 1. What of these steps can I eliminate and it not cost me much? Cost me any money, but cost how bad is it if I don't do this, right? That's known in Six Sigma as a failure mode. What are my failure modes, right? So process-wise, I'm Six Sigma trained, right? So I look at that. What's the failure modes and what's the impact of those failures? If the failure is by eliminating this step, but we could probably live with it, live with it. Right? This is a weird thing. That's kind of what I'm telling you. There's pieces that you live with, that you fail on, that you're okay with. Elimination is number 1. Automation is number 2. Obviously. So you look at tools and systems to automate whatever steps. From there, it's delegation. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. That talk just now felt amazing. Like fire is coming out because, not because of like how great I did in talking, but that room was so energized. And this is like really what I want you guys to get out of this. They are in this mode of learning and absorbing and seeking to hear the experiences that I can share and seeing how do they translate that into their own lives. So that room was unbelievable. The questions they were asking, the engagement that they had. This is what I want from you guys too, is to really listen to what it is that I'm saying and see like how do you bring that into your life. In this case, what I was trying to show you was that leadership isn't about a title. Leadership isn't a permanent state. Leadership is about action, and it's about situations where you step up, and there's a lot of pitfalls in the way. And so I'm hoping that when you heard those things, you recognize in yourself that one, you have the capacity. You definitely have the capacity to lead. And if two, you're not gonna lead, you also have the capacity to follow, and that's not bad. But three, the worst thing is to do nothing. Don't do nothing. That's what I hope you get out of this, is make sure that you apply your work ethic so that you can build your network, so that you can build skills and you get those opportunities. And leadership then is what emerges from it. It is not a permanent state. It is temporary, situational, and it's saying you are stepping up to do something about whatever it is you care about. I hope you guys walk with that, and I tell you what, that room was amazing. That was fire. I'm so happy about how this went down.